culture.
This special documentary is about several African American pioneer Muslimas who are with Masjid Muhammad, which is located in Washington, D.C. We are trying to capture the challenges and their lives on this particular documentary so that you may be able to get a better understanding of what was happening to Muslims, African American Muslims specifically, in the 40s and the 50s.
That there is only one God, and without him there is no other.
They say Allah guides whom he pleases. We don't choose Islam for ourselves. Allah guides me. I would say he guided me. And that's why I stayed.
Became a Muslim because I didn't like the way we was treated. But we was brought over here as slaves. And as being brought over here as slaves, the missionary told us, God come for us.
The message of building community through the arts has been really clear from the very beginning of CHA, so it's kind of interesting to see how people talk about that in different ways, but the message always comes back to the importance of the arts in people's lives and how transformative they are. And it's not that everybody is an artist, but the arts teach you so many incredible things like the humanities, ways to think, ways to problem solve, all really important skills. And ultimately, they create better citizens. It's important to know your history and the fact that, you're walking along a street where other people walked before you, and who were they? And the obvious people are, like people we know from history, Walt Whitman or whoever. But who are all the other people, like us, who are walking along? We don't really know who those people were. So it's just a little, it's kind of emotional, I guess, but it's just a little snippet of how everybody, your lives pass through, and excuse me, and how do you access that?
An example is the day we went to interview Von Martin. They happened to have a community forum that same day about the Caribbean Carnival that happened the weekend before. So council member Muriel Bowser was there, the Ward 1 council member was there, the deputy chief of police was there, and individuals were allowed to call in, and they had individuals from the community within the station asking questions, and it was just a forum discussing some of the issues that may have taken place, and some things that could have been done better, some things that went well. So it just created a dialogue. But that platform happened on Vaughn's show, so that goes to show the significance of his contribution. Neil Alpert, who was a former deputy mayor of economic development, when he was in office, he talked about some of the things he tried to rectify in the city. So he was part of the initiative push to improve the city's parks and recreation system. So now the city has one of the best infrastructures when it comes to swimming pools, parks, activities at the rec centers, and that was part of his initiative. And it wasn't just ward specific. It went from southeast to northwest. And I think in interviewing everyone, their background in terms of being from the Caribbean somehow shaped their drive and their belief in community and developing that. And I think that helped them become who they are in terms of what they do currently.
Well, it happens at a time that Washington is really transforming itself and becoming the city that we kind of live in today. At the time that these artists were really first starting to talk about the idea of a painting, the idea of abstraction and color as an organizing force in the painting, people were talking about organizing Washington and talking about creating institutions that would be world-class institutions. In 1960, there was no Hirshhorn Museum. There was no East Building to the National Gallery. A lot of the things that we take for granted as real fixtures of the mall and the city really only existed as the dream. And so artists were really in a position to contribute to that civic dream and talk about the nature of art in Washington. So the paintings that they created, the programs that they put on, were all part of that citywide discussion of what the role of Washington would be.
The name of our organization is I Saw the Experience of Learning in DC, and we are an organization that focus on community-based educational projects. This particular project is our pilot project, and it's called History Beneath Us,
Forgotten Sacred Ground Across the River Creek.
Mm-hmm. And the project centers on the Mount Zion Cemetery. It is very important to our history because we have a lot of individuals that contributed a lot to the city's history that are actually buried there. And the burial ground is estimated to be about 200 years old. So therefore, we would like to uncover the identities of the people that are buried there. The intergenerational component comes in where you have middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students. That's very important because middle school is a very critical time where a lot of students lose interest in the learning process. And we want to keep them interested where they understand now we're not just learning for textbooks, but we're actually seeing how this will affect my community, my family, who I am, where do I come from, and it becomes meaningful and engaging. So it's important to involve the youth at that age so that they can be a part of the research as historians, and it comes alive. It's actually tangible to them.
The actual project was centered around heightening the humanities component of a presentation that we produced here in Washington, D.C., entitled A Rose Among Thorns, a tribute to Rosa Parks. We thought that it would be, or I thought that it would be important, certainly, if we started to explore parallels. You know, we know that the Rosa Parks issue occurred in Montgomery, Alabama, but you know, the civil rights issue was not an issue that was isolated in Montgomery, Alabama. When I started to think about what I wanted this project to be and how I wanted it to be related to the play, the presentation of the play, I started thinking about, well, what was DC like during that period? What was it like during that period? What was it like slightly before the Rosa Parks issue? And then how were the various neighborhoods in Washington affected?
In 1937, a group of photography enthusiasts established a club at the Colored Y. It was called the Anthony Boyne 12th Street YMCA Photography Club in 1940 and was renamed the Photograph Camera Club. One of its earliest members, John H. Pinkard Jr., reaches his 100th birthday in 2011. He was born on the campus of Alabama A&M College, where his parents were faculty members. Pinkard later relocated to the district's Shaw neighborhood, where he attended the Dunbar High School, known for its decades of academic excellence.
By the way, in 1940, I was the first one to bring Kodachrome to the Photograph Club. I never will forget it. That stuff, ASA 10, basic photography of a nature scene, was F6.3 to 60th. That got burned into my memory for many years. I understand now that Kodachrome is no longer processed. It's gone. You can't get it.